It's 2023. You're a UBS executive and you just bought Credit Suisse, one of the world's oldest banks. You're going through their files when you find something that makes your blood run cold. Hidden accounts, billions in undeclared money, American clients who never paid taxes on fortunes stashed in Singapore and Switzerland. But here's the thing that will blow your mind. Credit Suisse had already been caught doing this exact same thing. They'd already paid the biggest bank fine in history. They'd already promised the US government they would never, ever do it again. So, how does a bank go from paying $2.6 billion in fines to doing the exact same crime again? And why did they get a smaller fine the second time for doing something arguably worse? I'm going to walk you through one of the most shocking cases of repeat financial crime in history. A story of broken promises, hidden billions, and a bank that thought it was too big to get caught twice. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Credit Suisse went from Swiss banking royalty to complete collapse, and why this story should terrify every major bank on the planet. May 19th, 2014, Credit Suisse becomes the largest bank in decades to plead guilty to criminal charges in the United States. Not civil penalties, not regulatory fines, criminal charges. For years, they had been helping wealthy Americans hide money in secret Swiss accounts. We're talking about thousands of clients with billions of dollars that the IRS never knew existed. The scheme was sophisticated. Credit Suisse bankers would meet clients in hotel rooms, hand over untraceable credit cards, and even help them destroy bank records when US investigators came knocking. The penalty was historic, $2.6 billion. At the time, it was one of the largest fines ever imposed on a financial institution. But here's what made this case different. Credit Suisse didn't just pay the fine and walk away. They signed what's called a plea agreement. Think of it as a contract with the US government. They admitted their guilt. They promised to completely stop helping Americans evade taxes. They agreed to oversight, monitoring, and regular check ins with federal authorities. Credit Suisse executives stood in front of cameras and said the magic words: "This will never happen again." Before we continue, what do you think happened next? A. Credit Suisse learned their lesson and followed the rules. Or B. They kept doing the same thing while under federal oversight? Drop your guess in the comments. Fast forward to 2023. Credit Suisse is in trouble, not for tax evasion this time, but for a series of other scandals that nearly killed the bank. UBS steps in to acquire them in an emergency deal. Now, here's where this story gets wild. UBS executives are going through Credit Suisse's books when they stumble across something that shouldn't exist. Hundreds of undeclared American accounts that were active during the exact period Credit Suisse was supposed to be cooperating with US authorities. $4 billion across 475 accounts. But wait, it gets worse. They find evidence of another $2 billion hidden in Credit Suisse's Singapore branch. The bank wasn't just hiding money, they were actively helping clients create fake documentation, sham charity donations, falsified records, all designed to make it look like these accounts were legitimate when they absolutely weren't. Remember, this wasn't happening in some gray area before they got caught. This was happening from 2010 all the way until 2021, 7 years after their guilty plea. During the entire period, they were supposed to be under federal oversight. To UBS's credit, they immediately called the US Department of Justice and said, "We have a problem." But that phone call set off a chain reaction that would expose just how badly Credit Suisse had betrayed their 2014 promise. Federal investigators who thought this case was closed suddenly realized they'd been lied to for over a decade. The bank they thought they could trust had been operating a shadow tax evasion scheme the entire time. Here's a question that might surprise you. Do you think Credit Suisse got a bigger or smaller fine in 2025 compared to 2014? I'll give you the answer in just a moment. May 2025, Credit Suisse Services AG pleads guilty again, but this time something is different. The fine is smaller, $510.6 million compared to the $2.6 billion from 2014. You might think that means they got off easy. You'd be wrong. What made the 2025 case so much worse wasn't the money. It was the betrayal. The Department of Justice used words like exceptional and unprecedented to describe Credit Suisse's conduct. They didn't just break the law again, they violated a federal agreement while pretending to cooperate. The consequences go far beyond the fine. Credit Suisse is now subject to even stricter oversight. Every major bank is watching this case because it sets a new precedent. If you break a deal with the US government, there's no limit to how far they'll go to hold you accountable. And here's the ultimate consequence. Credit Suisse no longer exists as an independent bank. The reputational damage from decades of scandals, including this tax evasion case, contributed to their complete collapse and emergency sale to UBS. Every bank CEO in the world is now asking the same question. If Credit Suisse, one of the oldest, most prestigious banks in history, can be destroyed by repeated violations of trust, what does that mean for the rest of us? The 2025 Credit Suisse case isn't just about one bank's criminal behavior. It's a warning shot to the entire global banking system. The era of too big to fail might be coming to an end, replaced by too untrustworthy to survive. Final question. Do you think the $510 million fine was enough punishment for breaking a promise to the US government, or should bank executives have faced jail time? So there you have it. The incredible story of how Credit Suisse went from paying the biggest bank fine in history to doing the exact same crime again, and how that decision ultimately contributed to their complete destruction. Three key takeaways. First, federal plea agreements aren't suggestions. They're binding contracts that come with severe consequences when broken. Second, even the world's most powerful banks can be brought down when they repeatedly violate trust. And third, we're likely looking at a new era of banking regulation where reputation matters as much as capital. But here's what keeps me up at night. Credit Suisse probably wasn't the only bank doing this. How many other major financial institutions are hiding similar schemes right now? And which one will be next to face the consequences? If this story shocked you as much as it shocked me, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the financial scandals that shape our world. And let me know in the comments, do you think bank executives should face jail time for crimes like this, or are fines enough? Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.